Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Bedford County Sports Talk Live on the Shelbyville Now platform. I have with me Mr. Bill Anderson and Mr. Drew Hooker. How are you guys doing this morning?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Good. We're going to talk some sports. We're going to talk local sports starting out this morning with some high school football. But first, I'd like to thank our sponsors. First Bank of Shelbyville, Mr. Brent Kennedy, down here on Madison Street in Shelbyville. First Bank has been one of our longtime sponsors, and we appreciate them. Go by, check them out for all your banking needs. Also, we have Kincaid
Service Company.
It's
all about the service, baby.
Service is their middle name. We appreciate these two sponsors, and if you have a need for an appliance, for furniture, for just most anything for a household,
TV,
whatever it is.
Yep.
Kincaid Service Company's got it. Go check them out.
And they'll come and they'll install it and they'll haul the old one off.
Right.
Most people ain't going to do that.
That's right. Hauling it off.
That's the key for me right there. It's worth a ton to me.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's talk about some high school football of local interest. We had Moore County last night. Lose a tough one.
Tough one.
Yeah. Let's see. Who were they playing last night? McKenzie, 28-27, McKenzie. And I watched part of this game, and it looked like it was pretty much nip and tuck the whole night.
Well, that shows a lot for Moore County because McKenzie is a traditional powerhouse, and for Moore County to go in there and almost pull that one out, it shows how tough they were, and to me how good the white kid is.
Yeah, he's good.
I mean, we played him first game of the season, and he's probably one of the top 2 or 3 kids we played all year. So
now, early on, I watched the early part of that game. And I noticed on their first touchdown pass, he took a pretty good hit. Did he sit out any, or he played the entire game?
Yeah, not that I heard. Again, I only watched a little bit of it, but I think that the biggest thing is McKenzie is so good on defense.
Right.
And, when you have a team that is kind of circled around one player, a good defense will a lot of times kind of stifle that person. And so, again, it was a great season by Moore County. I mean, they were a tough team. And White wasn't the only one. They had some really good O-line and D-line.
Right.
They had some really good skill kids.
Very well coached. Coach White does a really good job there at Moore County.
Absolutely. It's going to be a big loss for losing White. I don't know how they're going to replace him next year, but I'm sure they'll find somebody.
That's right.
Well, we want to just say to our neighbors to the southeast, they had a great year. Congratulations on a great year in Moore County. We had Giles County 35, Meigs County 14.
Meigs County was previously undefeated.
Yes.
Not surprised by this, but they were undefeated.
Giles has been rolling here toward the end, and we knew they were strong all beginning of the year. And it's kind of fun to look at some, like this is in Communities region. It's fun to kind of follow these teams that we've played already this year to see how they do. So Giles County continues.
Yeah, Giles County is Giles County. I mean, they've always got talent. They are always well coached.
Great facilities. Wonderful facilities.
Oh, absolutely. And so the thing is even though Meigs County was really, really good this year, I'm not very surprised. I think Giles County was definitely the better team.
Yeah, so they keep rolling. Move on to semifinal action, and then we've got East Robertson, Bill.
Well, 49-20 over Smith County. I'm not surprised East Robertson won the football game. I'm surprised by how much.
Right.
Yeah. Smith County, defensively, there's probably not a better defense in the state. And for East Robertson to put up 49 points, that tells you everything. But, again, we played them a couple weeks ago, and they've got 3 brothers up there, and the oldest one's committed to Kentucky, but I think that junior tailback is the best out of all 3 of them. And so they're able to put points up. They have speed on defense to be able to slow people down. But again, with East Robertson beating this one, they're going to make a run toward the 2A state.
I believe Smith County had already beat East Robertson once in the regular season.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that was a big turnaround.
So
that just proves it's hard. It's hard to beat a team 2 times in a row.
Yeah, that's Riverdale.
Yeah, we're getting there. All right. So East Robertson, one of the opponents of Cascade this year, they move on. So we wish them the best of luck. Let's talk about Riverdale.
56-0. Oakland, they made a point last night.
Yeah, they did.
Almost seemed personal.
Well, and some people may not know, but the defensive backs coach at Oakland is Marcus Bryson. He came from here. Right. And so I will tell you, that is a revenge game. They lost the regular season with Riverdale. And I will tell you, 4 turnovers against Oakland That is a 56-0 script,
Yeah.
because I'm close friends with Coach Kreisky, the head coach over at Riverdale, and he's had a great season. But I can tell you, when you go into the playoffs and you start making mistakes, especially putting the ball on the ground, against good teams that don't make a lot of mistakes. I mean, Oakland, as you see, they finished it out strong.
So Riverdale finished 10-2. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right. So now we have Page Centennial game I watched last night.
I watched it too.
I watched it.
And it's depressing.
Yeah, it is.
Because I really feel like, had we not turned the ball over 3 times, we would have beat Page. That's
they got 2 really good kids. Mr. Football candidate and Hazard. And then they had the 22. I can't remember his last name.
22's a player.
But he's a player. He's a better player to me than 40 was.
I agree.
Defense,
he was last night.
40 caught a big Hazard caught a big touchdown pass in the end zone. He's just a big body. But I think Shelbyville could have matched up with him. We scrimmaged him earlier in the year and was tit for tat with him. And we could beat.
But why? And maybe Drew can answer this one. If you're Centennial and that Wildcat's what's effective, it got 4 touchdowns. You beat Columbia because of it.
Right.
You really 3 touchdowns against us. I only really saw him in it a couple times. Really, the one at the goal line where they scored, he was in the Wildcat with number 1. Why would that not be your offense?
I think it was because of 22 and 40.
Yeah, I think that going into games, you look at it, you got 1 of 2 ways you can go. You can go hold the ball as long as you can, trying to keep the ball away from an explosive offense, or try to match them. And I think they went the route of trying to match them. And they're probably questioning that today. But I think that Page is much better on defense than they previously have been.
Right.
They're usually very explosive on offense and kind of okay on defense, but they kind of flipped that this year. And I think they were a little nervous at those linebackers. I think that the linebackers flew downhill, and I think they were worried about being able to get too far behind. And sometimes you can overthink it as a coach. You can kind of go into the game and you're thinking, this is the game plan, and you kind of watch so much film that you kind of changes your train of thought.
I think you scored 7 touchdowns in the playoffs. Number 1 scored every one of them in the Wildcat. Well, I don't understand. And the only touchdown last night.
But here's the thing: he touches the ball 7 or 8 times total, and he's a Mr. Football candidate. He's the best athlete on that field. He was the best athlete on the field.
Yes, he was.
And he touched the ball 6, 7, 8 times tops on offense.
Well, if you go back to any game and you go through the losses of all these teams that have these top kids, I mean, Shelbyville at Rocky, number 1 at Centennial, us at Cascade with Sawyer, if those kids don't touch the ball 15 to 20 times a game, then you're probably overthinking it.
Yeah.
Your playmaker has to touch the football.
Yeah. You got to have the ball in the hands of your athletes.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's great. I mean, we got tired of seeing number 1 the other night, and it wasn't big. It was 4 or 5 yards, 3.
And we really didn't see him for the second half. We didn't see, other than they tried to pass it to him.
But this shows you how close Shelbyville was.
Yes, exactly. It really does.
Because I think they were probably as good or better than those 2 teams.
Yes.
Right.
And so the thing is the future's bright at Shelbyville.
Yes, it is.
Because the thing is you can see that 2 of the better teams in 5A, they were as good as.
Yeah, and shout out to Rocky Chandler, MVP of Region 5.
Absolutely. Great kid. And he's a junior.
Yeah.
He comes back.
Robert Bailey, all region, first team. He's coming back.
Did you notice on the offensive line that they pretty much gave it all to Tullahoma except maybe 1?
Well, we had 2. We had 2. We had Hiles and we had Spence.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the thing is with Shelbyville, Rocky very well may, if they use him right and keep him moving forward, he could be a Mr. Football candidate next year.
Yes, he could.
They've just got to make sure they're healthy going into the season. But those 2 kids,
as good as he is on offense, he's as good or better.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the thing.
When you have a kid that rushes for 1,400 yards and has 120 tackles, that's pretty special.
Oh, that's awesome.
I will tell you, probably for college level, he might be a defensive player in college.
Right.
Because he's got a good first step.
Yeah.
I mean, that kid is special. And I'll tell you, and I was lucky enough to coach him for a couple of years. He is a good kid too.
Oh yeah.
Right. Stays out of trouble. Good, just great kid. And I'm going to tell you, there's nobody more deserving than him because he puts the work in. And I think he's going to be a kid that next year, there's no telling how high the ceiling is.
Yeah. And one other thing too about Central, now Cascade hadn't got their regional awards yet, have they?
No, not yet.
That'll come out. Okay, so these are the only ones I've seen so far at Central's. The Lauder makes first team. I mean, that was good for him.
Yes, it was.
He had a good year, led the team well. We only had him 1 year, Drew, but he came in, fit with the program, and led his team to those 10 big wins.
And he seems like a really good kid too.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing is with DeLauder, I was lucky enough to coach him in a spring league, and he is a leader. That is first and foremost. He kind of gets people together. He may not have the strongest arm, and he may not be the fastest kid on the field, but he is a winner, and he is a kid that is going to put people on his back and try to push through. And I hate that the season ended like it did, but I will tell you, they took a big, huge jump. And I think put Shelbyville right back on the map where it needs to be, in the middle of the playoffs and competing for region championships every year. I think that they're back.
Another shout out, Radon Crenshaw, first team all region for defensive line, and Tarvis McLean was second team on the defensive line. The two great players, they were solid all year on the defensive line, even when they were hurt.
Right. Here, if you don't mind, I'll just go through the list. Right, so D-line, Radon Crenshaw, defensive back, William Bobo, offensive line, Micah Spence, kicker, Ben Betzelberger, wide receiver, Micah Threet, linebacker, Logan McBee, academic, Ian Matusik, offensive line, Jacob Hiles, or better known as Bam. Quarterback, Nathan DeLauder, running back, Robert Bailey, and manager, Jessica Todd. That was your first team all-region. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of those kids are juniors.
Right. Yeah. They're coming back.
Look at our second team. Look at our second team there.
And our second team, Tarvis McLean, D-line, Brody Lavorne, linebacker, Palmer Edwards, tight end, LeBron Ransom, DB, Caleb Campbell, O-line, and Theo Washington, wide receiver. And so, again, a lot of juniors.
Okay, and let's shout out to these academics too. You got it pulled
Absolutely,
up there.
I got it. So we got our academic, Ben Betzelberger, William Bobo, Brody Lavorne, Maddox Wright, Cohen Abernathy, Mason Shavers, and Eli White. And again, a bunch of juniors.
A bunch of good kids.
A bunch of great kids.
Really good kids.
Well, congratulations again to Shelbyville Central for having this many people in the all-region team.
Let's do one other score real quick, because the Page game will now be Southwind. Southwind beat Henry County last night, 28-21.
Another close game.
But Southwind's been killing people.
Yeah.
They've got some players.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see this one, because I think Southwind's going to be a hard road for Page.
It's two different styles
going
up against each other. You've got this wide open offense of Southwind. I've kind of watched what they do. And then you've got Page that's going to want to control the ball and eat the clock. There's a clash coming.
It's coming.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, these next couple weeks are going to be some good football
across
the state.
Wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been a fun year, and we're not done. We're going to continue to follow these through. I love to watch some of these teams that some of the local teams have played and watch how they progress. Of course, we have the Giles County situation going. And then even though we didn't get to play Page, I've got my eyes on Page. Right. I hope they go.
Yeah, I mean, they're just so well coached. Yeah. I mean, so they've got a chance, but beating Henry County the way Southwind did, that sends a lot of message.
And they just went up to Beach and beat them pretty bad, 45, 22 or 21 or whatever it was at Beach.
I got to give some shout outs. Our favorite fan, Helen Raby.
Helen.
Good morning, guys.
Hello, Helen.
And then Jason Sanders. Hello, David and Wild Bill. Don't forget Drew Hooker down here.
That's right.
Okay. But Jason is on. Good to see you guys this morning. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about basketball season, because things are cranking up this past week. Some of our local teams got into action. Bill, you got some scores for us?
I do. Shelbyville girls went up to Nolensville. Big win, 45-37 for the Eaglettes. The boys, 76-43, take a loss. They played tight with them early, but Nolensville's pretty good.
Yeah.
Giles County, Shelbyville girls 60, Giles County 25 at Giles County. And then a shout out to Coach Shane Young, 73-69 double overtime. He was down 25 in the second half.
And came back and won the game.
Well, that's a great sign for the girls.
Yes.
They won. That's two good teams that they beat.
Yes.
And I'll tell you, Shane, it's going to take him a little bit. Coach Young, you can tell the passion. You can tell the knowledge. What he has to do is no different than what Judd did. He had to come in and he has to shake that mentality from a bad season and kind of get them motivated and ready. It's going to take him a little bit, but you can tell they got the right guy.
Yep.
I think they got the right guy.
He's my guy.
Yeah. All right. Here's the thing. Hey, here's the thing about it. He said it in his first coaching show. We're going to take some lumps early on, but we're going to get better as the year goes on, and they're going to play defense. All right, that's something that you don't see much these days.
Yeah,
you've gone to this NBA style. It's infiltrated the high school mentality, and when you start playing defense against that run and gun stuff, and it slows things down a little bit. It's going to be interesting to watch. I can't wait to get out there to see them.
Big ball game is Tuesday at Tullahoma.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Eaglettes and Eagles at Tullahoma this Tuesday.
Well,
get out and support them.
And the key is them, they're so deep, they're 12 deep, and the fact is they just don't have that star that some teams have. But that team defense, if you can start getting 1 through 12 playing good defense, you can kind of do similar to what Cascade did last year, where they could rotate a whole lineup in and out, get fresh guys in there, but nothing drops on the defensive side. And so it's going to take him a little bit, but I'm going to tell you, I think that the future is bright for Shelbyville.
Bill, you've coached basketball. Hadn't you rather have 5 role players than 1 star and 4 others tag along? Absolutely. All right, so I think that's what we got there. Okay, let's talk about Cascade.
Cascade went to played Huntland 38-25. The girls win. Actually, the boys got beat 72-68. I was kind of surprised at that one.
Yeah, it's good to see those girls win.
They were
so young last year. And
I was actually talking to the mother of one of the players at the girls, and just the growth that they had. Last year they took a lot of hits.
Right. And they were really young.
But they were very young. They were almost all freshmen and sophomores.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, to come out with a win, because what they're doing is they're beating the team that they beat the team they should beat.
Right.
And that shows growth. And I think those girls, you keep that group together for a couple years, there's a future there too. And it's great to see that we're getting coaches in the right spots. We're getting kids that are committing to that. And so that's great. And then, a close loss, they lost a lot, the boys.
They did.
And to stay in the hunt, and I've heard Huntland was a pretty good basketball team.
Okay.
So I think that,
good season. The community girls played Fayetteville 58-50. The community girls win again. They're coming on. Again, they had a great year last year. Yeah. Community boys fall to Fayetteville 49-41. And Webb boys went to MBA and won 2-0, 67-64. And then they went to Franklin County and beat Franklin County 65-44.
And you said the girls can't find anybody that wants to play them.
They don't get to play till November 24th against Brentwood because nobody wants to play their girls.
I wouldn't play them either.
They're like, no thanks. So how many do they have on their schedule, Bill?
I guess they're in a region that
they have to play them. But nobody outside the region
don't want to play them.
Oh, wow. Well, and I hate that. And the unfortunate thing is they'll probably have to start looking out of state to find people to play, which then adds cost and time, and there's a lot to it. But I'm going to tell you, those girls are special out there at Webb. They definitely have a lot of talent, and the boys this year look
really good.
Well, listen, here's the way I look at it. If I'm a coach and I've got a young team and I'm going to try to build a program, I want to play the best, and I'll be lining up to play well.
I know Jeffrey Howard. Jeff Howard, a good friend of mine, his son Jax had 22 points the other night against NBA.
Wow. That's a big game, against him.
NBA is good, folks.
Yeah. Oh, well, any of those
NBA, any sport is good. I promise you.
So they're off and running this week. We've got some games taking place all around the Thanksgiving holiday, and Friday and Saturday there's some tournaments.
Right.
I know the Webb girls play the 24th and the 25th.
Right.
But they're 2 separate games. I do know they play. It's not a tournament, but all the kids will be in action. Get out and support them. All right. Before we shift gears, let's thank our sponsor one more time. First Bank of Shelbyville. We thank Mr. Brent Kennedy and his crew down there. If you have any banking needs, go visit them on Madison Street. Stop in, see them. They'll meet you at the door with a smile and take care of you. Also, we have Kincaid
Service Company, Mark and Eve Kincaid.
Absolutely.
Stop in and see them.
The best around. Been in business for years. They're a family-owned business. That's one thing we keep pounding. Shop local. Support these local families that have businesses. They're the ones that are going to sponsor these teams. So we need to get out.
You don't see Lowe's on football field anymore.
I ain't seen the Amazon Pee Wee team yet. Have y'all?
No.
All right. Let's shift gears to college football. The one everybody's talking about today is probably Georgia, Tennessee.
Let's not talk about it.
Why?
It's going to be bad.
Why you say that?
It's going to be bad.
What do y'all think? Just give me your real thoughts, Bill.
They were really exposed a lot in that Missouri game, defensively especially. They couldn't get off the field. They made Missouri look like the best team in the country.
But we're playing at Knoxville.
And they do seem to play better at home. But I just don't trust quarterback to make the plays. I don't trust the defense to make the tackles.
I'm going to tell you, Georgia may be the quiet team this year because they kind of get down and then they kind of catch back up at the end of the game. I think if Tennessee can jump ahead, I think that's the key. But scoring points has been rough for them. I think if they could jump ahead, I think that this could at least go into the fourth quarter. I think that that's the key with Tennessee is you just got to keep it close and then hope the ball kind of lands your way a couple times.
If this game gets a little out of hand, do you make a quarterback move just to give the kids some experience?
I wouldn't throw him into that.
I wouldn't either, I don't think.
Probably not this game.
But I might the next game against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're getting towards the end of the season now where red shirts, they can play into 4 games without losing a red shirt. You might consider going ahead and benching Milton if they lose this game, going ahead and benching Milton and letting Nico kind of take the last couple
go
games.
through the bowl game and get some experience.
I think we're sitting here and we don't know. All right, we don't know what's happened behind the scenes. You got Milton. What is he? A 5-year senior?
5-year senior.
Yeah.
He's finishing his career out. He transferred from Michigan. Was going to be the starter till Hendon Hooker beat him out. Hooker goes down, injury. He comes in, has a great end of the year and has a fantastic MVP of the bowl. Comes out, and he's not playing what we've expected this year, but he don't have the tools too that he had that was on the team last year. So, are you penalizing Hooker, who is penalizing Milton, who is stuck in there?
I'm gonna tell y'all something. When the NFL Combine comes up and they watch that boy play the football, some NFL team still is going to fall in love with him and think he's a star. He's going to still get drafted.
Oh, no, he'll get drafted.
Because he's got that big arm.
Yeah. Well, and that's something you can't teach. And
some coach is going to think, I can make this guy play.
That's one thing about NFL coaches is they will take chances on kids who have the measurables.
They will.
And he's big, he's tall, he's fast, and he's got a big arm.
Look what Anthony Richardson. Would you have picked him in the first round?
Nope.
I wouldn't.
No.
But he had all that athletic ability, the big arm.
But does he not remind you of Malik Willis?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A kid that has a big arm, but the problem is
Jamarcus
he's a single read guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's the key. If I'm an NFL coach, I look for kids with high completion percentage in college because if you have a low completion percentage in college, that's probably going to translate to the NFL. Yeah. And I want a kid who hits multiple reads.
Right.
Spreads the ball around, and Milton is not that kid.
No, he's not.
And so he would scare me a little bit. But you're right. Some coach is going to fall in love.
It's coming. They're going to see him throw that ball 75, 80 yards in a combine drill.
So is Heupel sitting here thinking, I don't want to mess this kid's career up, and if we still have as good a chance to win with him as we do anybody else, I think he's going to ride him on out.
And he probably will, but you've got to start looking for the future of your program.
Yeah.
Right.
At the end of the day, even if you give them 50-50 snaps, that bowl preparation of getting an extra month of practice, that is crucial to the development and the success for the year after. So I think there's a chance that they might put Nico in a little bit more in the end of the year. But I still hold hope. It's the SEC and you just never know week to week. I think Tennessee has a chance today. They just got to get it into the fourth quarter. If they can get it within a score in the fourth quarter.
If they beat Georgia, then beat Vanderbilt, they come out and they're 9-3 and they're going to go to a New Year's Day bowl game. If they lose to Georgia, beat Vanderbilt, they're out either way.
They're going to Weed Whacker Bowl.
Weed Whacker Bowl. Is there a Weed Whacker Bowl?
I'm sure there is.
Okay.
They'll probably be in the Music City Bowl, is my guess. That's where they'll be.
Yeah.
Music City Bowl want to sell it out.
Yeah.
Tennessee will do it.
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
While we're talking Tennessee, we're on college football. Has anybody checked out the Tennessee men's basketball team this year? Let me tell you something. This may be the best team Coach Barnes has had. Wow. They can score now. They're not going to go through those droughts. All these kids he brought in can score.
Some of these experts have picked them to go to the Final Four.
I will tell you the SEC, top to bottom, this is the strongest in basketball they've been in a long time. They're like the old ACC, back in the 80s and 90s. Now they, even down to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's not great, but the thing is they got some talent.
They lost to Presbyterian in the first game. Oof,
that one was rough.
Oof, that's harsh.
Well, let's run down some other college football games.
All right, let's do it.
We've got, of course, the Georgia-Tennessee game. Alabama plays a cupcake. Chattanooga. All right, Michigan against Maryland. There's not any real huge matchups.
Abilene Christian, Texas A&M. You don't think that'll be a ball game?
I don't know. You just never know about Texas A&M.
Southern Miss, Mississippi State. Here's a good ball game for you. Louisville and Miami.
Yeah.
Louisville, sneaky good. Todd Bobo told me the line's -1.
Oh,
That's
Todd
where I get
Bobo
my, Todd
told
Bobo
you.
gives me the lines every week.
does he? Okay.
He's
Well,
our
I'll tell
expert.
you, a game that's kind of going to be sneaky, to see what happens is Clemson in North Carolina. There's a lot of talk of Dabo and being talked about at Texas A&M.
I've heard that too.
And so if he ends up losing against North Carolina today, that puts him at 6-5. There might be a chance he might start looking at elsewhere. And so
I think they made him mad. The fan base at Clemson getting on him the way they did might have just been enough for him to go on and move.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is he's done what no coach has ever done there,
Right.
which is 2 national championships.
Yes.
He's had a winning season almost every year he's been there, if not every season he's been
What have you
there.
done for me lately?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's
And
the problem
where we're
with
at in this
college.
society.
Yeah, if you don't win and this is really his first bad season.
Yes.
And it's 6-5 at best, at worst. And so the thing is I think that there's at least a little smoke there. Talking about with Dabo and going to Texas A&M. There's also Mississippi State that's open. Arkansas is probably coming open.
And I don't understand that one either because
I
Sam
love him.
Pittman's
I
done a
love
great
him. I
job
love
there.
him.
Again, one down year. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how these teams, but there's so much money in it
Yep.
now. There's so much pressure from the fan base, from the boosters to win
From the
every
NIL.
single year.
Well, here's the thing I think has changed in the last 5 years. I mean, just really the last 2 or 3 years. Used to, you'd hire a coach and say, well, we need to give him time to build. Now it's instant with the transfer portal.
Yeah.
If you can't build a team now in 2 years, you're out.
Mhm.
And the
And it
NIL.
used to
Don't
be-
forget
it
about the
used-
NIL.
yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
It used to be 5 years. You give it a coach could each 5 years turn this thing around, get rid of all those old recruits out and funnel the new free. Yeah, that's changing.
Johnny
you got-
Majors would have never made it at Tennessee. Because remember how he started? It took him 7-8 years
Oh,
to
yeah.
get Tennessee
Yeah.
football going.
Well, I mean, even Bear Bryant.
Yes.
It took him a couple of years after he left Texas A&M to get Alabama to a national championship
Yeah.
level. So, I mean, it's just not the same as it used to be. I mean, there's not a lot of patience, but there's too much money involved.
Yeah.
When you start talking hundreds of millions of dollars, if you lose sponsorships, if you lose recruits because of your schedule, because look at what's going on right now with Colorado. Colorado got all the big recruits and all the transfers, and now they've lost a handful of games, and they're
They got
starting to get
pounded last night.
decommitments. And and so all those kids, the excitement of prime is kind of starting to die up there, and that's
Yeah.
what happens when you lose ball games. People lose interest.
Another big ball game. Top 10 teams are close to top 10. Washington's at Oregon State. I think Washington could be in trouble here, honestly.
I know.
Because Oregon State plays defense. They got 36 sacks. That's a tough place to play. And one thing about Washington, and they run the football, and Washington's run defense is very suspect. And actually, Washington is an underdog, according to Todd Bobo, by 2.5 points.
According to Todd Bobo.
All the SEC fans are begging for Oregon State to win that
Yeah.
if they want to get two teams
You can
in the
bump
final
Alabama
four.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all the SEC fans are really hoping that comes.
Now, the only reason I would say Washington still may win the football game is that may be the best quarterback in the country.
Yeah, and I
He's
hate
pretty
to.
good.
Well, and he was supposed to be coming to Tennessee until they told him he wasn't good enough.
All right. Do you have the spread on Kentucky at South Carolina? Because I could not believe what I saw.
What's the spread?
South Carolina's favored.
How?
I don't know, but I pulled it up this morning. I don't know if my eyes were crossed and I couldn't see right, but it's like 7 or 8 points that it's at South Carolina. South Carolina's favored over Kentucky.
Well, I'll tell you that environment in South Carolina.
That dadgum crow and rooster would get on
Yeah.
my nerves.
Well, that's a good environment, but that one's surprising. I think Kentucky's the better football
I do too.
team. I think they're better coached.
I do too.
So I don't see Kentucky losing that one, but you just never know in the SEC.
Here's one that might be interesting. A big line. New Mexico State's getting 23.5 at Auburn. I think New Mexico State may give Auburn a football game.
Auburn's been good. They have won something. Now the problem with Auburn is they just don't have a down the field threat.
Right.
They are 3 yards in a cloud of dust. They throw screens, they do everything, and except for throw the ball down the field. So
Florida's at Missouri. I see Missouri.
that one could be a good game.
I see Missouri pounding them. Here's another guy, though, I just sit and think about. I think the only reason that you're not talking about Florida coming over is they beat Tennessee. I think that one game that saved his job.
Yeah. I back up. I told you wrong. It's a 2.5-point favorite for South Carolina.
Wow, that's close.
That's close,
Yeah.
but I'm
All
surprised they're favored.
Yeah, I thought Kentucky would be at least a touchdown favorite on that one.
I think they're going to give Napier another year down at Florida. I think he's a good coach. He's been recruiting well. But you're right. I think beating Tennessee saved his job.
Oh, absolutely, it did.
That's not a patient fan base.
They're sitting at 5-5, and they could end up 7-5. Okay, but they got to play Florida State. I don't see that happening. So they're going to end up probably 500 and make a bowl, at least.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Georgia State's at LSU. It's the line's 30.5.
Yeah.
Georgia State is not bad. I bet they cover that game because LSU does not play defense.
Well, LSU is very dependent on the quarterback.
A quarterback and no defense.
Everybody, and they got the best receivers in the state, in the country, but defense is an option for them.
Yes.
They sometimes play it, and
Sometimes they don't.
So
most of the times they don't.
Well, it's going to be an interesting day in college football. All eyes will be on the Georgia-Tennessee game and see how that comes out. But let's shift gears now and start talking some NFL. Titans go down to Jacksonville, Bill. What insiders telling you? Is Tannehill going to be the backup officially?
No, I think Malik will be because I don't think Tannehill's he's not healthy yet.
Well, I think there's reports this week that they're trying to get Ryan Tannehill ready just to be the backup. But it's going to be close. It'll be probably a game time decision for him. That ankle still has been bothering him all week.
And Fred, you may see a rookie at left tackle. I don't think we got anybody else to play there.
Yeah, I think it's between Jalen Duncan and Dylan Radence, and Dylan didn't have a great game last week.
He did not.
So,
guys, how do y'all see this season playing out for the Titans now that we've got Levis is definitely our starter the rest of the year? You got all these shifts and changes around the offensive line. What's Vrabel trying to do at this point?
Play it for next year. Last week I was on it. We had to beat Tampa Bay. I thought we could get back in it. We're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Well, now you got to find out who can stay and who's got to go.
Yeah.
And, see if these rookies can play, see if some of these young kids can play. The rumors.
You got to try to protect Levis. You can't just let him go out there and get killed.
Well, and I think there's a lot of distractions right now. Vrabel being talked about of New England possibly trying to trade for him as a coach for them. I think that's a big distraction. I think the injuries have just piled up for them. I think this team missed the opportunity in the offseason to offload some of these guys. Everybody knew that it was going to be at least a down season. Nobody expected this, but I think that, they missed the opportunity to trade Derrick Henry in the offseason. I think they missed the opportunity to trade Danico Autry and some of these other guys to be able to get some draft capital because to be a young team, they also don't have a lot of draft picks. So that's going to make it very difficult going into the offseason. They're going to have to be very aggressive in free agency to add some mid-level free agents. But
they're going to have nearly $100 million in cap money. It's 90-something million, second in the NFL next year.
And that's even without cutting anybody. That's just losing Derrick Henry and Tannehill.
If I'm a guy sitting and looking to see who I'm going to get, if I'm going to trade it, I'm going to look and see how many games that guy's played in the last 3 years, how many actual games he got on the field, because I saw the injury list compared to Jacksonville's. Ours was this long.
Right.
Yeah. It was ridiculous.
And it's a 3-year pattern.
Well, and that's the thing that I've not understood about the Titans. They have got to look internal to their strength and conditioning staff. They've got to look at their trainers because there is some reason why they have 3 times as much injuries as everybody else. They hit the record in the last 2 years.
Then the player leaves the Titans and goes somewhere else, and he never gets hurt. That's what I don't understand.
Adoree Jackson's a big key up in the Giants.
Absolutely.
He was hurt all the time.
A.J. Brown,
honestly,
missed a lot of games with the Titans. He's missed nothing in Philadelphia.
And if you look at the injury list and how things practiced on Thursday, Henry didn't practice, Hopkins didn't practice, and there was
veteran maintenance.
Those are
veteran maintenance day. That's all it is. Veteran maintenance.
Now, that is one thing that's a little different from Vrabel. He will, throughout the season, usually give those veterans 1 to 2 days off during the week. And so that's something different that he does. But I will tell you, they've hit the record 2 years in a row for number of players played. And so, they're pulling kids off the street and they're putting them in there. And something's going on injury-wise for the Titans and in a consistent manner for the last 3 years. And I think it's not coaching, it's not the players, because, Vrabel always talks about these soft tissue injuries with these kids and they're just not pushing through. And I will something's going on. But they've got to fix that before
The
they're
biggest
ever gonna
thing
be
to me with the
successful.
Titans that Rand's got to address is overall team speed.
Yes.
The Titans are one of the slowest teams, offensively and defensively, in the National Football League. And you
Well-
see it every Sunday when you're watching.
And they're not good enough to take chances on kids like Dillard. Dillard didn't start at Philly.
No,
And he was the 6th offensive lineman, a swing tackle that could play tackle or guard. And they brought him in and paid him like he was going to be a starting left tackle. Well, there's a reason why Philly didn't start.
that's right.
And we are not good enough to take chances on kids that are mid-level. Kansas City's and Philadelphia's, they can do that.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't pan out, they got somebody else. The Titans have got to spend some money on the offensive line. They've got to get a left tackle that can be the guy for the next 5 or 6 years to protect this young quarterback. And they've got to be able to build team speed in the back end.
Right.
Because at the safety position,
Yep.
and I think that's why they moved
At
on
the
from
corner
Kevin
position.
Byard.
Yeah.
Because
Getting a
Kevin
step slow.
he was a step slow.
He was.
Still a good kid, still a very headsy player that would be in every play.
And you
But
got to have wide receivers that can take a top off of defense.
Yeah, we don't
Look
have
what,
that.
look what Houston did with Stroud. He's played great, but Tank Dell.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Tank Dell was a flyer, but he can fly.
Every top tier quarterback right now has that guy on their team.
They do.
They got somebody like that. Now, if we care about Levis, we're going to protect him first of all, and we're going to get one guy that can fly and take that top, I think. And the other receivers, if you give Levis time, he'll stick it in their face.
Yes.
He'll throw them open.
Well, and he reminds me very much like Brett Favre.
Yeah.
That the window may be tight, but he's got a confidence in his arm. He's going to chunk it in there. And now what we have to get used to is he's probably going to throw an interception
Oh,
or
yes.
2 a game.
He's a gunslinger.
Yeah.
But the difference is he's going to put us in the chance to score 4 or 5
Yeah.
touchdowns. And we've just not had that in a while. The receiving staff has got to be overhauled in the offseason. They got to go find a kid that scares the defense enough to keep safeties out of the box.
And he doesn't have to be 6'5",
No.
but he needs to fly. This guy, we need a 4'3" guy that can really run.
They're
I
out
can-
there.
And they're out there.
Well, the thought process of the Titans, the running game that they base everything off of is an antiquated offense in the NFL.
Although I will say this new offensive coordinator has changed things. He just doesn't have the tools to do what he's trying to do. They're not there.
I thought he was good except for last game.
Yes.
Last game, he did not call a great game.
No, he didn't.
And I think he got super conservative. And, you've got Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has to touch the ball more than 20 times
Yep.
because he's a rhythm back. It's 3 yards, 3 yards.
But when that
3
line
yards,
is that
and then-
bad,
and then
when that line is that
then-
bad,
Yeah.
Henry can't even get going.
Yeah.
That line was terrible.
Well, guys, are we saying Titans are done this year? Basically?
We're done.
So we're rebuilding this.
We're playing for next year.
Yeah, I
the
think
rest
last week was kind of the straw. I think that they
Now, would
they
it
lost
shock
that
me
game.
if Vrabel pulls it together? Because I don't think Jacksonville's as good as advertised. Would it shock me the Titans beat Jacksonville?
No, it wouldn't shock me, but I still think the year's
I
over.
think the year's over.
Yeah, I mean, Texans are playing too
Yeah,
well.
they are.
And I'm going to tell you that is
Stroud,
the
wow.
model that is the model
Yeah.
of the Texans to go out and I like Vrabel, but you've got to go get a offensive coordinator that will stretch the field. You've got to go get some kids that on the offensive side of the ball that will protect Levis and then also be able to get open. And I'm Chigaquanko,
Disappointing.
that has been disappointing this year. I thought he would take a big step up, and he took a huge step
Huge
back.
step back.
All right, let's move from the Titans now just to the overall NFL. Big news: Joe Burrow's out for the year.
Done. That's a
He's
shame.
done. Going to have surgery. Baltimore beat Cincinnati 34-20. My Ratbirds are coming on strong, guys. They look like they're my favorite in the AFC now at this point. I think they can beat Kansas
Lamar
City.
Jackson's playing great.
Yeah.
They run the football. They play
Yeah.
good defense, and they've got Zay Flowers that can take the top off of defense. He's quick. He's fast. And now Odell Beckham's starting to play a little bit for him.
Yeah, and if he can give them 5-6 catches a game, then that's going to.
But
be
another
great.
big engine in this game you need to mention is Mark Andrews, the big tight end,
Yeah.
out for the
Yes,
year.
out for the
And
year.
that's going to hurt a little bit. But they've got another tight end named Isaiah Likely
Yeah.
that can play. And he
Yeah.
may be a household name here pretty
The
soon.
problem with Isaiah Likely is he's not an inline
No,
tight
he's
end.
not.
He's a Travis Kelce kind of spread
Yep.
out kind of kid, And so
he
that
can
kinda-
he can move. He's got
Yeah.
a motor
moving. Mark Andrews was the best tight end in the NFL, and I think that-
outside of Kelsey.
outside of Kelsey, but
Big loss though. to
big
lose him
loss.
for the year.
But I'm going to tell you, the NFL may come down heavy on Cincinnati. They tried to hide a Burrow
Yeah.
injury going
Yeah,
into
they
that game.
He had a little soft cast on his hand, and they saw it on video or something. And
Yes, it was going through the tunnel.
they'll lose a
and
draft pick out of this.
probably, because that is huge for the NFL. These
Yeah.
injury reports, because not even for the competitiveness. It's for the lines.
Yeah.
It's for the betting side
Yeah,
of things.
exactly.
Because when you have a quarterback, because going into that game, I thought they were pretty evenly matched. Well, if you say before the game that Burrow has an injury,
Tilts
that
the other
changes-
way.
that
That's
changes
3-point swing right there.
Yeah.
All right, let's go real quick over this Cleveland-Pittsburgh.
And
Cleveland,
Deshaun
Watson is
Watson.
gone.
Out for the year.
yeah, that's
And they're going to start the rookie quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised
DTR.
at.
yeah.
Out of
Because actually,
UCLA.
PJ Walker had played well. I'm sort of surprised.
But I tell you,
with
this DTR kid's special.
he's good.
He's
He is
special. He's
a-
little.
Yeah, that's the key with that is he has not played well when he's went in.
But he played good in the
But
preseason.
This
Yeah.
is his chance to be able to earn that spot, because I think they're about ready to move on. From
I do
Deshaun
too. I
Watson.
think they know they to move on.
Did you hear that they're looking at Joe Flacco out of retirement?
Oh no.
He actually did come
To
visit.
warm up.
He
It
came
worked
in
out.
and visited.
Mhm. So that's mind-boggling to me. But real quick,
Got to mention Green Bay for Kenny.
Green Bay, Los Angeles, the Chargers go to Green Bay. I'm thinking that Green Bay
Bay's
can win that
Green
game.
Bay's getting 3 at home.
Yep. I
I'll
think
take
they
the
can.
Packers.
I will too. Detroit,
Chargers, there's
Chicago.
something wrong with
Good
the Chargers.
game. Yeah.
Poorly
An
coached.
underachiever this year to me has been San Francisco. I feel like on paper they could be the best team in the league.
Too
And
many
they've
injuries.
lost. Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
And that's another team, to be honest with you. Like the Titans, this has been going on with San Francisco. They would have probably won a Super Bowl in the last 3 years. Injury
Yeah.
every year. Injury.
You know, Debo missed 4 games, I think.
Kittle's hurt.
Kittle's hurt. Purdy's been hurt.
McCaffrey.
McCaffrey's been,
Yeah.
He's played, but
Right.
he's been hobbled. I will tell you, that offense, if it ever gets healthy,
Oh,
They're
they
tough.
can score
They-
points.
They
They-
can.
they
And their
line it
defense.
A
Wow.
couple weeks ago,
Adding Chase Young.
Yeah.
Oh, to that
All right.
defense.
Super Bowl matchup: Philadelphia, Kansas City on Monday night.
Finally, a Monday night game to watch.
I think Philly may beat them by 2 touchdowns.
I do too.
It's at
I think
Kansas
Kansas
City.
City is on that downward trajectory just a little bit.
Mahomes just doesn't have the vertical weapons on the outside he's had in the
Not
past.
like he has.
It's the story of the NFL. When you have these rookie quarterback deals
Mhm.
and you're able to surround them like Jalen Hurts
Yep.
with talent, once those guys get paid, then every year they decline because they have to lose talent around them. And now Patrick Mahomes is in year 4 of the big deal. And so or year 3, sorry.
And Coach Reed's missed on some picks in the receiver position. Skylar
did.
Moy's missed on a few. Rasheed Rice looks like he's going
looks
to be
good.
pretty good.
But that's all they got.
But that's it.
Mecole's gone. They just don't have much.
Yeah.
And they thought that kid that they that they brought in from New York was going to be
Tony,
great.
he can't stay on the field, stay
And he,
hurt, just like he did in New
he
York.
drops catches.
And he drops the football.
So,
All right. Before we wrap this thing up, guys, we got turkey and football Thursday.
Oh, I love
Man,
it.
before we come
One of my
back here
favorite
again,
holidays.
we're gonna be eating turkey and watching football. We're gonna watch Green Bay and Detroit.
Oh,
Detroit
Detroit's
better than that.
always.
Oh,
on.
yeah.
I don't care. I remember.
But
back
now
in the
they're
day.
good.
I know.
And so it's great to
It's
be able to
great.
watch a good team.
Back a long time ago, I remember I get to see Barry Sanders run the football.
Oh,
it wasn't about
absolutely.
Detroit; it was about Barry Sanders. But
And I love watching this team. I'm a
Yeah.
big, huge Dan
Yeah.
Campbell
Me too.
fan.
He's one of my favorite
This
coaches
is-
in the league.
this
this
is the
Gibbs
best
kid
put
is
together.
special.
Oh,
The Gibbs
absolutely.
kid is special.
Absolutely.
All right, Washington and Dallas.
It's still
San
the Redskins and the
Francisco,
Cowboys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Redskins and the Cowboys.
It's still that's tradition.
All right, San Francisco and Seattle, and then on Friday we've got Miami and New York, and then we pick up next week with our schedule. But we got 4 games of football, 3 on
I
Thanksgiving
forgot about
Day
the Friday game.
and that Friday game.
I forgot about
So
that. Is that
we
night
got-
game?
Friday game may be pretty good.
And Friday we got some college football coming in
Oh,
there
yeah.
too. We got some big time rivalries. Egg Bowl.
Egg Bowl's
It's
always
usually
on
on
that
that
That's
Friday.
always great.
All right, but guys, we won't get to sit down again and have this show until after Thanksgiving. We want to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving, my favorite holiday of the year. And I'm going to say I'm thankful for everybody that's had a hand in Shelbyville now this past year, and especially this show. I thank everybody, and I'm thankful for everybody that sat down. I'm thankful for you two guys for sitting down with me today, and I appreciate the contributions that you make behind the scenes and on camera for Bedford County sports and Shelbyville now. Guys, we thank you.
Thank
We
our
thank our
sponsors.
sponsors.
Absolutely.
We're very
Yeah.
thankful for our sponsors.
And I just have one little thing to mention: Lance Peoples.
Yes.
MTSU
absolutely,
offer.
yeah.
Congratulations to him.
Absolutely.
We could go on and on and on, but we got to cut it short. I know y'all are getting tired of seeing our faces, but we do thank our sponsors, First Bank and Kincaid
Service company.
All righty. Thank you, guys. We'll see you again after Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday week.
Thank you.